one way to get to Tingle, Tingle, Tingle Nation. Sweet, sweet dreams. This is my life story, or at least part of it, and there are some issues and topics that could be dramatic or triggering for some people to hear, relating to alcoholism from family members and abuse that was endured. So I just want to give you a fair warning that this book does cover topics like that, but hopefully you'll find it inspiring and get tingles listening to the whispers. I have done lots of therapy and am proud that I was able to write my story in hopes that it will help lots of people to overcome whatever obstacles they face from their past or that they might be going through currently. With much love and gratitude, I share this with you. Thank you. Chapter 3 of My Life with Robin by myself, Melissa Heavener. Tonight I'm using the Yeti microphone for this recording, so let me know if you prefer the Yeti or the Tascam. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 was recorded with the Tascam, and this Chapter 3 is recorded with the Yeti. Chapter 3, Robin, a Friend from Heaven. Kyle was a good man, and it was not uncommon for him to intercede when Brenda would get out of hand. As usual, Kyle found himself lost in the false bliss created by the enticing world of drugs that has a person held captive, especially when the person is afflicted with an addictive personality, and Kyle has that affliction to his core. One thing for sure, he adored his baby. In fact, he always told Brenda how he could not believe how much cuter Lizzie was than other babies that lived with their young parents in the DC apartment building. On this Saturday afternoon, however, Kyle was not bragging about his little baby girl. He was much too lost in his mind on a heroin trip, still lying on the bed where he had flopped down hours before, hearing Brenda's protests. Meanwhile, Ruthie let out a scream like nothing she has ever cried before. The first reason is that Ruthie is generally a happy baby with a distinct peace about her that far exceeds her years on the planet. The other reason for the scream that poured out of Ruthie's mouth is her sheer shock that her mother hurt her so deeply that part of her spirit died. As a result, neither Ruthie nor her life would ever be the same. Once Brenda had raised her first hand at Ruthie's face, it became easier each time until there was not a single part of Ruthie's body that had not felt Brenda's rage-filled abuse on a routine basis. For the first time since Ruthie's evaluation, Brenda tried to escape her troubles by drinking them away. was supposed to be underway. Brenda was an hour and a half past drunk. Rita arrived first, and within seconds knew Brenda was a few sips away from becoming an out-of-control drunk, and other guests would be coming through the door momentarily. "Why did you start drinking, honey?" Rita questioned Brenda, and not giving Brenda time to answer, Rita said, "I knew this party would put a lot of pressure on you, but you would not accept any help from anyone. I will tell people you are sick. Where is Kyle?" "He's in the bedroom," answered Brenda. "Oh, good," said Rita. "He can help me keep things together." "Good luck with that," chuckled Brenda in her drunken state. Heading to the master bedroom, Rita gently knocked on the door, and after several times with no response, Rita opened the door and went in to find Kyle lying naked on the bed, covered in sweat, with his eyes shut, talking to himself. "Oh my God, what in God's name are you on?" Rita asked before noticing the various tracks on his body. Going over to him, frantic. "Now, where are the girls?" Rita shouted as she slapped him, but he was so far from reality, he mistook Rita for Brenda, softly saying, "Do not be mad at me, Brenda. Work has been tough lately. I will not do it anymore, I promise." "I don't give a damn about your promises, Kyle. Where the hell are the children?" Rita shouted in fear. Then Aunt Blair pushed open the door, holding Ruthie on her left hip, who was sucking her thumb, and Lizzie on the other hip, who is half asleep. "For God's sake, people are arriving, and Brenda is almost passed out on the sofa. And from the looks of things, it's not any better in here," Blair calmly observed before she prepared to spring into action to try and fix things as fast as humanly possible. Rita said, "I will tell people Brenda is sick. Help me get her in here." "And what about him?" Aunt Blair, referring to Kyle as she covered Ruthie's eyes. Both women helped Brenda on the bed next to Kyle and made the house presentable for the guests who were beginning to arrive. As usual, Aunt Mabel had baked 2 beautiful cakes. There was 1 cake for the birthday girl and 1 cake for the guests to eat. Ruthie was smiling brightly and taking everything in as the party carried on perfectly, with the guests clueless to the fact that there were 2 intoxicated people passed out in the next room. After everyone had left, Rita and Blair cleaned up, hardly saying a word to each other, although both of their minds drifted to when Brenda was little, as they pondered what the future had in store for her and her little girls. The silence was broken by Rita, who said, "Are you taking Ruthie home with you tonight?" "I was actually thinking of taking both girls tonight since... ... replied Blair. I know. I'll write a note for Brenda and put it on the bathroom mirror," responded Rita, cutting off Blair in mid-sentence. Blair and Mabel tucked both girls into their bed. Then Blair filled Mabel in on Brenda and Kyle's unthinkable behavior before the party. Then Blair filled Mabel in on Brenda and Kyle's unthinkable behavior before the party. Right away, Aunt Mabel began making excuses for Brenda and Kyle. They are both under a great deal of pressure with the apartment, jobs, invite those wicked drugs into our family circle? Aunt Blair pondered. Early the next morning, Brenda called, trying to contain her rage, while asking a million questions in a matter of minutes, making it impossible for Blair to answer until Aunt Blair just began to apologize repeatedly for several minutes, saying, "Don't worry, I will bring them back after they've had some breakfast." Then, as though a different person, Brenda calmly stated, "Oh, I don't want you to do that. I need a break from being Mommy Dearest." With a chuckle at her own joke, Brenda declared, "Oh, I understand. Well then, give me a call and let me know when to bring them home to you." "Goodbye," Aunt Blair said in a hurry before she said something to set Brenda off once more. For the next 2 years, the girls had a childhood divided between a life with and without Mom. One filled with music, a little joy, and surviving Brenda's emotional meltdowns, and another life as well with a totally different lifestyle off at their aunt's house. Once they were at their aunt's house, the days entailed taking car trips to a little vacation home for a great time of playing in the dirt in the garden of Aunt Mabel and Aunt Blair's little cottage house, 3 hours south in Charleston, West Virginia. Ruthie spent the days singing loudly and getting dirty, digging in the dirt and eating slices of watermelon that Aunt Mabel carefully removed all the seeds from. Never far behind, Lizzie danced around Ruthie with glee to do whatever was requested of her as they played themselves to sleep. The next morning, the girls found that, as Aunt Mabel would say, the night fairies had put them in their silky handmade nightgowns and placed them into bed. The night before, Ruthie and Lizzie were sure the little cottage was magical, and they were sad when they had to head back to Maryland because Mom's apartment in D.C. was never far behind. Sure enough, just 48 hours later, Aunt Mabel prepared Ruthie and Lizzie's favorite meal, spaghetti and little bite-sized meatballs, although it was not long before it became the girls' most dreaded meal, because for the next 12 years it became the signature send-off meal the night before they were to descend back into the trenches where their mother dwelled. Brenda would carry on with her life in cycles. She would have 3 weeks that were considered good, meaning that she still drank every day to the point of passing out. But beforehand, she would manage to provide Ruthie and Lizzie with 2 meals, the good period. Throughout these weeks, there were constantly new men taking place because the neighbor that lived... I have trouble reading the right line sometimes because the chemo that I'm on affects how I can track when I'm reading, so I'm sorry. I just misread a line. Okay. Back to Brenda would carry on with her life in cycles. She would have 3 3 weeks that were considered good, meaning that she still drank every day to the point of passing out beforehand. She would manage to provide Ruthie and Lizzie with 2 meals. The good days also meant that the spankings happened once in a 12-hour period. Throughout these weeks, there were constantly new men going in and out of the house, and Rita was very aware of what was taking place because the neighbor that lived across from Brenda's house did not hesitate to provide Rita with every detail about the house, including details about the lack of attention given to the front yard. Like clockwork, Rita would call Brenda and complain about the neighbor's gossip. A 5-minute conversation with her mother was all it took to send Brenda into a ranting, raving rage that ended with a phone call to Aunt Blair, where Brenda would scream to Aunt Blair, "You had better pick up the 2 children before I throw both of them up against the fucking wall." Ruthie and Lizzie watched and listened quietly until Ruthie would head into action, grabbing her walker and walking as fast as she could up against the dining room wall and explain at the age of 4 to her 2-year-old sister, "If we get against the wall, she won't have far to throw us." Sometimes Brenda would grab the closest bottle of liquor, head off into her bedroom, and slam the door until Blair arrived to pick up the children. However, it was much more likely that instead of drowning her anger in alcohol, Brenda would release it on the children before Aunt Blair would arrive, like a superhero, to whisk the 2 girls off to her house, filled with lots of food, toys, and a little discipline. Ruthie loved it at her aunt's house because she could be a little girl for a while. In the winter before Ruthie entered kindergarten, she saw her first movie, Annie, and she and her cousin, who was 8, and Lizzie, who was turning 4 in February, had seen several television commercials showing Little Orphan Annie on the big screen. In fact, the 3 little girls were watching more TV than usual because they had all come down with the flu and had spent days watching television from overstuffed chairs and quilts because Aunt Blair and Aunt Mabel made them all individual sick beds on the chairs. On the first day that all 3 girls made it to bed the night before without getting sick and woke up without a fever, Aunt Blair promised to take them to see Annie. It was 3 days before Christmas, 1980. Washington had just fallen victim to a huge snowstorm, leaving the city at a mere 23 degrees as snow continued to blow from the tree tops. Long after the storm ended, at 5 p.m., just as promised, Aunt Blair began getting the 3 girls ready to head out to the movie. Showing at 7 p.m., not far into the preparations, Aunt Mabel began to voice her concern as she always did, taking her place as the mother lioness, protector be on the mend. Besides, if I don't take them to see Annie, we're never going to hear the end of it. Well, with a bit of hesitation, I suppose you're right, but you know how easily Ruthie can relapse and end up hot as fire with a fever if you just look at her the wrong way, responded Aunt Mabel. That's why I've decided to wrap them up in our fur coats, Blair said, taking a deep breath as she awaited Mabel's protests. I can see that you've already thought about this, and if you think the coats will survive, I guess the girls will stay warm that way in the cold night air, Mabel declared in support of risking the well-being of her beloved rabbit fur coat for the sake of her little cubs. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on the girls and one eye on the coats, reassured Aunt Blair after having a beautiful dinner that Aunt Mabel had prepared. At 6:30, Aunt Blair and the three girls headed to the movies. 5 rows from the front, the three girls in bright pink sweatsuits, wrapped up in fur coats, watched Annie in amazement. Ruthie loved the movie so much, she sat at the edge of her seat and cried when it was over. For the next couple weeks following the movie, it was Annie Mania at Aunt Blair and Aunt Mabel's house, and after they bought the record, Ruthie played it over and over while the girls danced around the room. Everything changed after the spaghetti dinner. It was back to Brenda's apartment. Although Ruthie did not know it, her life was about to change forever. Brenda was happy to see the girls and brought them each a pack of Annie stickers. Throughout the next day, Brenda drank, and by the time dinner was over, Brenda was drunk, and her patience was running thin, meaning it did not take long for her to hit the boiling point, to have her indulge in a mental meltdown. Lizzie ran over and stopped the Barbra Streisand record that Brenda had put on a few minutes earlier with excitement and said, "Mama, let's play Annie, and Ruthie and I will sing for you." "What the hell is wrong with you? You might have scratched the record," Brenda screamed at a shocked Lizzie, who ducked down. As Brenda raised her hand to Lizzie, and 10 seconds before Brenda struck Lizzie, Ruthie said, with a sick feeling in her stomach, "I told her to," in a whisper. "What?" Brenda shouted, turning around so fast to face Ruthie that she almost lost her balance, stumbling to catch herself. Repeating herself slightly louder, Ruthie said, "I told her to stop your record. I should have known you were behind it. You're such a spoiled, selfish little brat." Brenda screamed at Ruthie, who was now shaking with her face tightly gripped in Brenda's hands, until Brenda yanked Ruthie up from the little chair she was sitting in with satisfaction in her voice. Brenda told Ruthie, "It's time for you to feel the belt on your sassy ass." Ruthie begged, "Please, Mama, not the belt. I'll be good. Sorry. Please, Mama, please." Resigned to her terrible fate, Ruthie didn't cry any longer. Instead, she began to pray, like her Sunday teacher taught her a year earlier. Ruthie quickly tried to remember exactly what she was instructed to do, because she wanted to make sure God heard this prayer. Just imagine your heart talking. What would it say? Don't worry, God can hear our heart. just need to let him inside," Miss Murphy said, Ruthie recalled. So vividly, it was as if it were happening right then. So Ruthie began to pray to herself. "Please, God, help me not feel the belt, and please do not let Mama stay mad for long." After countless slaps with the belt, Ruthie closed her eyes, and all of a sudden she heard a voice that was very high-pitched but gentle and kind. "Who are you?" she asked the voice. "You could hear me?" the voice asked in surprise. "I have spoken to you before, but you never heard." Ruthie becomes aware of who she is. For hours, Ruthie studied me carefully with loving eyes while I talked, sang, and played with her, trying to help her pass the time. I'm sorry, I skipped a page. You never heard me before. I'm listening really hard today to see if God will answer my prayers, Ruthie replied in her mind. What happened next was difficult for even a 4-year-old with a big imagination to believe. "My name is Robin. I'm sent by God to guide and help you through your life." "Can I see you?" Ruthie questioned, with no fear at all. Well, I did not expect you to hear me, honey, so let's see," Robin answered. Robin was very happy to help someone on the earth plane who could at least hear her voice. Thank you, Robin declared, before Ruthie interrupted, very confused. "Why are you thanking me?" she asked. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm not thanking you. I'm thanking the boss." "The boss?" Ruthie whispered. "Oh dear, I mean your Father God in heaven," Robin quickly revealed just then. Robin whispered, "Open your eyes, love." Without a second thought, Ruthie opened her eyes to what looked like a big bubble with every color from the rainbow. Ruthie begins to blink her eyes repeatedly, even though she was not scared. She asked Robin, "Am I okay?" "Yes, love. God never shares with his children more than they can handle. I know this to be true." And Robin is reminded that she is talking to a child, a gifted one, no doubt, but still a small child, not even in kindergarten yet. "Do not worry, you are going to be fine. In fact, I will never leave your side, and we will be great friends," Robin comforted Ruthie. Ruthie was brought back to the present when her mother jerked her arm, bothered that her children had gone quiet for a little while now. "Off to the utility closet you go," Brenda said, knowing it would make Ruthie cry again, and sure enough, Ruthie began begging again, not even slowing her mother down at all from walking in the direction of the closet outside on the patio of the apartment. Robin then began to call Ruthie's name, telling her, "You will not be alone. Your mother won't hurt you out there." Ruthie realized she would not be alone and began to calm down like never was not worried now that her heavenly friend had descended from heaven to share life with her. Brenda threw Ruthie in and slammed the door. Robin appeared in seconds, and once again Ruthie began rubbing and blinking her eyes to make sure whom she saw was really there. Robin then with a laugh said, "Don't worry, honey, I'm real and right here with you." A little shocked because it was as though Robin had read her mind, Ruthie answered, "Okay, you sound so funny, but you..." "Okay, you sound so funny, but you are a pretty lady," Ruthie replied with a smile. "Well, I have a high voice because in heaven I'm up very high, so when I come all the way down here, it is complex. Anyway, my voice sounds like a chipmunk." "Right, yes," Ruthie agreed with a giggle. "Listen, if your mommy ever asks about me, just say a little birdie told you. Since my name is Robin, it makes sense. Okay, darling?" Robin guided. "Okay," Ruthie said. As she stared at Robin, she studied her newfound friend, who apparently wasn't all that new. I, Robin, loved Ruthie the second I was assigned to be her spirit guide. However, now that she can acknowledge me, I feel a love for her that even shocks me, although this moment is bittersweet because I know Ruthie's ability to see and hear me means only one very important thing, and probably two vital facts. The first is that when God grants someone the ability to use their third eye at such a young age, then the challenges that child faces in this lifetime are huge. The second possibility is that God has appointed this child to serve as a liaison between heaven and earth, as a missionary spirit. A missionary spirit is someone who puts all others before themselves. When doing so, will promote greater good for all, as is needed to aid God's purpose. Missionary spirits also most often endure many hardships in life because it is as though withstanding troubled times with grace and inner strength that they shine God's everlasting light. The second possibility is that is Ruthie's fate. She was and still is a missionary spirit, which is a fact that will be explained later in our story when Ruthie becomes aware of who she is. For hours, Ruthie studied me carefully with a loving eye while I talked, sang, and played with her, trying to help her pass the dragging time in the utility closet. "Wow," Ruthie said, "you do sound like a chipmunk when you talk, but you're so pretty, and your long brown hair and your little pink dress. I have never seen such a small person before. Do you know Tinkerbell?" With a laugh, I said, "No, honey, I'm not a fairy. I'm something slightly different. I'm a spirit guide, but I do love fairies too, and sometimes I work with fairies." After I said this, Ruthie's eyes got really big, and she said, "I want to meet Tinkerbell." "Well, I'll see what I can do about that. Just give me some time to work on it You are just going to have to go right here, love, I said as my heart sank for my darling Ruthie. No, no, Ruthie protested. To my solution, I can't. Mama will kill me. She began to explain, and so she continued to hold it for as long as she could, until, in desperate effort, her kidneys started to spasm, causing her a lot of pain until pee was running like a warm stream down her legs. For 20 seconds, Ruthie felt better because the bad pain in her back was gone, and the warmth felt good on her cold legs for a few seconds. A moment later, Ruthie had large tears running down her face as she repeated over and over, "Now I'm really gonna get it." I reached over to Ruthie, who moved over from the spot where she had peed and laid back against the wall of the closet and placed her face in her hands, looking like a little lady totally defeated. "It'll be all right, honey," I said quietly to her before I got instruction from the boss that it was time to start singing to the little deer. I sang "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" softly as I moved her hands and hair from her face. Her big tear-filled eyes got heavy, and moments before she fell asleep, Ruthie said, "What is it like to have a nice mama all the time?" For the remainder of the night, I spoke in Ruthie's ear about someone she would meet in the future who would help her and teach her what a good mother is like in more ways than one. Ruthie dreamt of the young woman who was about 19 years old, named Priscilla Wellington, with slightly curly brown hair that in Ruthie's dreams held her in her arms and told her how great she was and how much she loved her. I would speak of this young woman countless times in Ruthie's ear while she slept, so Ruthie would enjoy the dream and know that great things were awaiting her in the future. Spirit guides are responsible for generating those dreams where a person wakes up and wishes they could go back to sleep and have the dream again, because those pleasant dreams contain messages from heaven about reaching one's optimal goals in this lifetime. If we are guided by God's light, it will be challenging to watch the person you are responsible for guiding struggle in their life, and often people can lose their way because they begin to believe that God is the one to blame for the misfortunes in their life. It is also not uncommon for a person to convince him or herself that God has not been listening or paying attention to the difficulties in their life. I am here to let Ruthie know that everyone else and everyone else know both of these conclusions are wrong. God does not cause a person's hardships. In fact, our destiny is decided in a sacred contract each spirit signs, detailing an individual's life story way before a person is born into a current lifespan. Not to worry though, because there are so many options that are available in each sacred contract, and this is where free will comes in to the picture. A person can make choices about whether or not to move closer or further away from God when life happens, and those choices tell the story of a person's life. At 6 o'clock in the morning, Ruthie woke up because her legs had fallen asleep and she needed to pee again. This time she did not care too much because it happened earlier. Only seconds later, Brenda jerked open the closet door and Ruthie turned white as a ghost when Brenda screamed, "Oh my God, you little shit, you stink." Brenda then dragged Ruthie into the apartment where Ruthie saw Lizzie, who was rubbing the corners of her eyes to remove sleep crust that had formed during the night when she could not wait for Ruthie any longer the night before and finally fell asleep. When Brenda got to the bathroom, she placed Ruthie on top of the toilet with the lid down. Lizzie ran in, and Brenda turned to Lizzie and said, "Help her, since you couldn't stop asking for her last night." "Mama," Lizzie began with caution, "I'm hungry." "There's always something you want," Brenda said with a sigh as she continued, Well, tell Mary. She worked a night shift at the hospital last night. She's coming to watch the two of you today while I go to work and I have to get ready. Mary will be here in an hour, so hurry up. Bathe, and not a fucking word about anything bad or things will get much worse. Then Brenda shut the bedroom door and got ready for work. All the while Ruthie breathed a sigh of relief, partly because her mother was leaving and partly because Mary was coming to watch her and her sister today. I know this chapter has been rather hard to hear because it was some unpleasant events, but that's the beginning of how I connected to my spirit guide, and I promise the book does have many happy things in it. I hope this chapter did not bother you too much, and I feel very blessed that I can share with you today my story to understand how some of my abilities work, and you'll come to understand more about Robin and my experience as the book goes on. I love all of you, and I hope you've gotten some tingles, and gone to Tingle Nation. I love you. Sweet, tingles, and dreams. Good night. I love you all very, 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 very much. And I thank you for listening to chapter 3 of my story. Until the next chapter, much love, sweet dreams, and tingles. Good night. That was a little louder than I expected. Sorry. Good night. Love you all. Love you all.